Just to start off with the normal apologies. So I have an apology from Lorraine, who's on holiday and can't join us tonight. I'd also like to take the session to thank Jackie Weaver, who's stepped into the breach at short notice. Thank you very much for your support. Okay, procedural matters. Can we approve the minutes of the last meeting?
Can I just ask a question before we start? And procedural matters, and Jackie may be able to help us. As you've been stepped in, and you are essentially a member of the public, do we need to actually agree to allow you to be secretary?
I'm not your clerk.
Right.
I am only here to take your minutes. You don't need to approve anything.
Right, okay.
You could make me go and sit with the public if you want.
I didn't know whether you said as clerk. So
no,
if that's
not at
okay,
all.
then that's fine. But I just wanted to make sure we did things right.
Cool. Right, so back to the minutes. Does anyone have any things they think are not correct? No. We did have one correction from Peter. Thank you, Peter. The advantage which I've already updated. Okay.
And also, hang on, no. We referred to 7.3. Where is it? It refers to it anyway as gardening club. It's the maintenance team. It makes it sound as if we're going to go around and do people's gardens for them.
Yes. Well, how much do you charge? Okay.
And then it says village gates, being done by Councillor Wright.
Where's that one?
In the minutes.
Whereabouts?
5.
Thank you. I've not got the number from. He's not wound up.
Collaborating with the Councillor right on this,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
Is it Councillor Hague, or is it?
What Councillor Hague is doing is looking into it. Yes.
I thought you were collaborating with Councillor Wright, who's the Cheshire East Council. But
Oh, I see. Yes, Councillor Hague.
That should be Councillor Hague.
No, but this is the report from Councillor Hague.
Oh,
okay.
right. Yes, it is the report from her. Sorry.
So I will check
Okay.
and amend if necessary. But I had assumed that was the Cheshire East Council, obviously who's in charge of such things.
Right.
Okay. All right. Anything else that anyone wants to raise? Okay.
Is there a date for the PCC meeting yet? It's mentioned there about that's going to be in September.
Should be in September. I can let you have the date. I don't have it at the moment.
Right. Okay.
I will have to send it round and let you know. It is imminent.
Oh, good.
As you can imagine, we're trying to coordinate 3 diaries,
Yeah.
the emergency services
Sure.
and the Police and Crime Commissioner. It has very little time.
Okay.
Okay, so just the updates from the Chair. Just by way of an update on the TRO from Cheshire East, I was hoping we might have something by now, but unfortunately not, but they are working on it, and hopefully we'll have something concrete this month. I appreciate I said that last month, but this is what they tell me. Recovery of fence monies. There is an agenda item on this. I have to say it's a little bit like Groundhog Day. I get exactly the same story that Jack got, and it just keeps getting repeated at me. So I think we need to make moves on that. Please continue to visit Pickmere every day, as promised, except when there are operational instances, and unfortunately the recent riots required them to move away from Pickmere for some of the time. And some of the days we perhaps could have used them, but other things took precedence. And that did include another incident at the lake where somebody did collapse, and once again the emergency services were unable to access the lake from the Pickmere side due to total gridlock in the village. New sprinklers have been installed in the playground as part of our refurbishment project. Just to remind people that was paid for through the jumble sale that was organised. So thanks again to people that contributed to the jumble sale. Cheshire Fire and Rescue have continued their commitment to an outreach programme in Pickmere, mainly because of the lake. I'm imagining they will be coming to the next meeting, but I'll keep everybody informed. They had hoped to come to this meeting, but they weren't ready to bring their information, but they did turn up at the event at the weekend. It was nice of them, despite having worked all night on a fire. As you know, we did manage, with a combination of Pickmere, Wincham and Marston councils and 1 week of my life, which I'll never get back, to get a dispersal order for 1 weekend. Unfortunately, the weather changed. Probably wasn't we had to pick a weekend, probably wasn't the right weekend, but it did demonstrate that the 3 councils working together do have significantly more power than either us or Wincham trying it on our own. Police surgeries are still not possible in Pickmere, unfortunately, because we still don't have a PCSO, and when we do find out when we can talk to the Police and Crime Commissioner, that will be on my agenda, because this is, I don't know, 2 years now. But we had a PCSO for a week, I think. Annual Fun Day went ahead on Sunday, which is thanks very much for those that organised. I think everyone had a wonderful time, and apart from the band, I was told that the highlight of it was the women's win at the tug of war, 2-1 over the men. So congratulations to Pickmere women. And volunteer groups, as you have noticed, have cleaned up Buttercup Way. So thanks to the volunteers and Alison for organising that. And we have started the repainting.
Yes.
Still ongoing.
Yes.
But thanks to Jane and the team for that at the top of Clover Drive. So that's my update. So I still think I prefer the statistics, but there you go. Okay, declaration of interest. Has anyone got anything they'd like to declare, financial or otherwise, on agenda items?
No.
Nobody?
No.
Okay. I do have one I would like to declare. So item 8.4 from Nick is Hedge Policy. While investigating the hedge policy, I found out on Fix My Street that one of my neighbours has reported my hedge to Cheshire East. I declare an interest. Okay. Public forum. So we have 15 minutes of public forum time. Nice to see some very good members of the public. So if anyone would like to talk, I will start with you, because I didn't get you to talk last time.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, Councillors, I noticed that you've done a fantastic job of clearing the land at the back of Jacob's Way. My question I wanted to ask, and this is nothing to do with you because we can see perfectly okay anyway, but behind our fences on the bank, you haven't done anything with that. That is the area that's been used as a public toilet because it's hidden from down the bottom. I was going to bring the evidence, but I thought it's inappropriate this evening. But I just wonder if you've got any intentions with that.
Okay, thank you. I mean, like I say, is that we have taken advice from a professional company, and they're looking at the maintenance of that area. So I'm happy to go back and discuss that with them.
That would be marvellous.
Anybody else? Steve?
Just to, if you want, formally report back from the Family Fun Day on Sunday. I had a fantastic day, as you said. It was great to see everybody working together to bring that about. It was had some very good comments back from one, how can I put it, long-term member of the village parish. She said it was lovely to see things getting back to how they used to be, and if that's what we achieved, that was what we set out with the events group to try and do. So I'm very glad about that. Just one point with reference to the pavilion. My good lady went down to take some tablecloths and I don't know, whatever, back into the pavilion. There was a strong smell from the gents, Chairman. Despite turning the water on. No, I'm not blaming you. Despite turning the water on for the urinals, obviously the water miser is not working at all. We did flush it with couple of buckets of water and a bit of bleach, but if you're letting the place, just be warned. The water miser is not working on PU IROS. But yeah, thanks very much for letting us use the field. That's how it should be used by the residents. So thank you.
Anybody else? Okay. Thank you very much. Then we'll move on. I have to say I haven't received a report from Kate. I don't know if anyone else has. Obviously it's a bit of an unusual time. I do know that Kate has been working in the background on the things that we've discussed previously and has been very helpful to Councillor Greenwood on a number of investigations that he's been undertaking. So we'll thank her for that, and I guess we'll get a report next time. Someone did ask me a question about the police report. That was agreed between the clerk and the police some time ago that they wouldn't give a standard report because they didn't have enough people in the team. They were down to, or 2 people down in their team. So, but we can talk to them. But I do talk to them, I have to say, on a daily basis. Now, I get reports on them on different things. Okay, so the next item is to look at the finances. Apologise that we don't have the professional detail of financial reports that we normally get, but just in summary to look at the balances. So currently, closing balance for August in the current account was 10,132.54, and in the deposit account 50,252.40. So we have a total cash balance of 6384.94.
Sorry.
Or would you get the numbers round my computer? Okay. All right. And then in terms of expenditure, just to note, there's a list of expenditure in the month of August. I don't know if anyone has anything they wanted to ask about that.
In the middle one, there's one to Steve Bennett. What? I don't know. Don't know what that's for. 14th of August.
Okay. So I don't know. I don't have anyone here that can tell me, but
No, his name doesn't ring any bells.
was he the painter?
Sounds about the right amount.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was 390 for the
yeah.
the repainting of the whole.
Yeah.
Which actually, now I look at it, it's actually quite good. Now I know who he is. I might phone him up and get him in my house. Anything else?
No, that's it.
Okay. Thank you, Nick.
To talk about finance though, can I just
Sure.
proposal forward? Would we be able to, the finance committee, meet so that we can prepare a proposal to bring back to council for budgets? Because budget time's coming up, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, we need to meet and agree our terms of reference. So yes.
Right. Okay, thank you.
So I'm trying to think. It's just you and me on that committee.
No,
And
I'm not.
oh, you're not.
No, I'm not financial.
Excellent. So you want us to meet? I see. Thanks very much. Yes, but we wanted to do that.
It was just so that we can come back and discuss as a council the budget going forward.
Yeah. Okay. So just overall income, the last month was 889.79, and expenditure was 9029.85. Next month, I believe we should expect the second tranche of the precept, and also we should have some information on grants applied for. So hopefully, expenditure income next month will be significantly higher. Okay. So moving on to planning matters. I did not receive any information on planning matters relative to Pickmere. So
Not seen anything on the planning portal.
So okay. So if we all concur on that, then there's nothing on planning this month. So we're on to reports. So item 8.1 is to do with the IROS. So the first half, which is probably the easy half, Jane has asked if we can approve the purchase of a new lock. Because the new lock was stolen, broken?
It was when the tree people went down and we had to cut it open because the lock went funny.
Oh, okay. And that's what, £53 odd?
Well, I mean, you can get one from about 35, but I just sort of like went in the middle. I just thought, we don't need something that overly expensive, we don't need something at the cheapest, yeah. Just in case it has to ever be cut off again, there's no point in spending on it.
Okay. So can I have someone to propose that we buy a lock for £53.74?
Yeah.
Seconder? Nick? Okay. Anyone against buying a new lock? Okay.
Is it worth, sorry, just before we actually, it says to review the Blackgate locking or not. If we decide not to lock it, is there a point in getting a lock?
We'd still lock it open though, wouldn't we, I think?
It's still,
We'd not lock it open?
No.
I thought we always locked it open when it was open.
No, it just stays open. Sorry,
No, no,
just looking at that, there just seems a logic to decide whether we're going to lock it or not before we...
Okay. I'm happy to reverse that.
Sorry, I just thought that.
I mean, yeah. If that will make you happy, so we'll reverse it.
Well, it just seems logical that we make sure that we're actually spending money on something we're going to use rather than spending on something that's going to sit there and we're not going to use. So
Okay.
it is
All right.
pleasant kind of use.
I'm going to pause that when we talk about the locking and unlocking of the back gate. So obviously that is permanently locked till the end of September, and we said that we would address that. So everyone should have received a report from me, but just in general terms, the major reasons for keeping the gate locked is maintaining access to the lake for emergency services. I appreciate on a really hot day they don't get to the black gate, but we did have lots of cars blocking the wooden gate behind the black gate and parking, so they couldn't get in when they did get to the lake. Obviously, it was decided that it would reduce antisocial behaviour. So while we were locking the gate in the evening, there was an increase in antisocial behaviour, abuse of councillors trying to lock the gate, abuse of residents where people decided that all the residents around the lake must know what the combination number was, and then we had, I think, two situations of criminal damage where people decided to unlock the cars themselves. So obviously those sort of events, well, reduced to zero as the gate was locked. We also have significant noise from dawn to dusk from people going down to the lake, and that area is closer to the houses than the bit before, marginally, I guess. And I suppose the other thing that we're always cognizant of is that there are groups of people who would sometimes like to go onto people's fields and set up camp, and having the black gate locked reduces the probability, although it doesn't take it away completely, that people won't camp on the field. On the other balance of the argument, a resident has raised concern about the mobility of their dog that has to walk a few more car parking spaces. And I think there is some residents, particularly on the outside of the village, who I think certainly when we were doing the election, one of the things I heard a lot from the outside of the village was that Pickmere is more than the lake, who are put off going to the lake because they believe there won't be any car parking spaces for them. So that's sort of the summary of the pros and cons. I guess we should debate whether we want to continue in the same vein, or now it's winter and there's less visitors, we should open it.
Can I add something up, please, Chairman?
Sure.
It's the psychological effect to visitors of a gate being locked there, and at the behest of the residents to open it or shut it. So it gives a message that it belongs to us rather than to them, which they often feel it is them. Subtle, but it does have an effect.
Okay. Anyone else want to speak for or against the locking of the gate? Simon, you
So I'm just, sorry, can I just ask, they and them that you're referring to visitors?
Not
or
residents. Not residents.
Not residents, thank you.
No.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether it's made a difference, to be quite honest with you. I think it's made a difference for the people who are opening and shutting it with the visitors, but I don't know what difference it's made.
Well, people come very, very early, Sam, and you know that, coming from 4 and 5 in the morning. So it's the noise levels is one of them, isn't it, which is a big one.
But they're still coming.
No, they're not. They don't park down there quite the same anymore. They don't. It's not quite so.
It's still coming.
I think it does send a message out that it is owned, land is
Oh
owned.
yeah, it does. But I just don't know. Personally, you know, I live down that way as well, and I don't necessarily see the effectiveness of it. You see it spreading a few more cars out, but not that many. You know, I'm ambivalent. I think it's sort of 6 of one, half done the other in terms of the effectiveness. I don't think it makes a great deal of difference personally, but I'll go with what people say.
I think you've said most of it anyway, Ewan, so I don't think any more needs to be said.
Okay. We're just to think outside the box, the idea of maybe opening it during the week and closing it the weekend?
No, I think it's just the same. I think it's we either open or close it, personally. So I think that's where it's on.
I think it was the right thing to close it, given the situation with the antisocial behaviour and abuse people were getting. I was concerned that closing it and losing those parking spaces would make parking worse in other areas. I know we've had some bad days when the parking has been bad. I'm not convinced the loss of those 5 or 6 spaces has dramatically made things worse in the village. I think when you've got 120 cars in, 5 or 6 here or there probably doesn't really make a big difference. So I don't have a strong feeling either way, really. I think long term I'd like to see it open, and I'd like to see us charging for parking and us to be getting some revenue from those spaces. But as I've said several times previously, I don't think we should be doing that until yellow lines and things are improving the situation elsewhere in the village. So I think at this point I don't have any problem with it staying closed.
Okay. Anybody else got anything to add?
I just think it would be very unfair of us to say, right, yes, we're going to lock it and unlock it, and then have a responsibility of locking the gate, even though it's becoming dark nights, because a lot of these paddleboarders and swimmers just swim in the dark anyway. So, you know, we could then be in the situation again where whoever's going to lock the gate is going to get abuse hurled at them.
I agree.
So,
And I don't think that's fair.
Yeah, to clarify, I don't think we should be opening and closing it. I think it's either open or it's closed. I don't think someone should have that responsibility. A time of day where it's open and closed. I don't know what the solution is, whether the solution is cameras on the area, do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
or parking spaces with meters or whatever, but that's way down the
another
line.
stage further down, we've got other things in place as well, isn't it?
But at the moment, no, I don't think anyone should be having to go and open and close it.
We tried that.
Yeah.
Okay. The other thing I don't like is absolutes. So I'd like to propose that we continue the gate locked until April.
So the March meeting or the April meeting?
I'd say it stays locked until the 1st of April. So
Why don't you say it stays locked until the yellow lines come?
Because I think, as much as I believe in yellow lines are coming, I can't paint them myself.
But I think that's where we're going with this. So I think when the yellow lines come is when we should start opening it.
Okay, but we don't know when that will be. We hope it will be April.
No, the yellow lines would propose the plan that has gone through is one
That's very
proposed 3.5, 4 years ago, and they said it's a 4 or 5 year turnaround. So it
That's just about now then.
could be, yeah. That's what I mean. It's coming up to when it should be going through if they've got any money to do it and if they've got the desire to do it.
But
I think to wait on an unidentifiable future target is wrong. I think Nick's probably right. If we're going to, I mean, as I said, my concern is people opening and closing it getting abused. That's where I'm concerned. I actually feel that whether it's open, whether it's closed, is not really, it is a moot point as far as the visitors go. I think it provides a few extra places, but I think that perhaps review it in March, because that's the one before the 1st of April. And that gives us the opportunity to make the decision for that time rather than actually at the time.
All right, so the proposal is that we leave the gates closed and bring it to council for the first Thursday in March for further discussion. So, propose that?
Propose that.
Second that? Those in favour? Excellent, thank you very much. Okay, so next item is to delegate powers to the chair to apply for a small claims court and to take other legal actions for return of funds owed to the council by the fencing company. So again, I did circulate a response to that. I did say in my opening summary, I've spent many days and many hours on this, trying to recover the money. As I said, the story is exactly the same as was told to Jack when he was clerk of the council, and we make no progress. It's always going to be next week. Next week he's definitely going to sell it. He's definitely got somebody. So I think what is open to us, we can go to the small claims court and file an application to recover the money. Based on previous experience, what I propose we do is go to the court, get all the paperwork, fill in the paperwork, send it to them, give them one last chance to pay. If not, then take it down to the court, get it stamped and sent. The charge, if we have to go and get it stamped, is 250 something, I think.
205.
£205. And obviously we have to produce the evidence that the monies are owed. But I have, I believe, more than enough correspondence between myself and the company that they admit to owing the money and they claim to be returning it.
Are they still trading?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, I have, offered them, a scheme by where they could pay back in instalments if cash flow is an issue. But they claim cash flow isn't an issue. So. I don't know. I mean, the only other option we have is to go for winding up order.
Starts with this.
It's more thankful.
Yeah, it's more thanks.
Okay.
Is there a possibility that if it is found in our favour, we get not only the money back but the fee we paid as well, or is that fee always ours and we've paid it?
That's a good question. From memory, I'm not sure we'll get the feedback. So if you take any legal action, even if you award costs, you don't get 100% of your costs. Fortunately.
Okay.
So
What are the chances
of
getting the claim sorted and winning money back?
Right, well,
I mean, I'm no expert on small claims, so
There is a good percentage of claims that are settled.
yeah, before you get to court.
Yeah.
you might, but I mean, even if we go to court and we go with all the evidence that we have, I can't sit here and tell you we've got 100% chance of getting the claim.
but we've got a good.
Case.
Yeah, we've got to do it.
I mean, other things I've never been involved in small claims court, so I don't know what the procedure is or how it works. You know, that's why I'm asking the question of
Well,
what answer we got.
And basically, we will supply our evidence. We'll fill in the form. They get the chance to come and give their side of the story, and then a judge will say whether he thinks it's found for or against us.
So it's just a straightforward judge.
Yeah.
Judge looks through the paperwork and makes a decision or asks for more information. Or
But I mean, Alistair's right. In my experience, most people when presented with the forms, they are.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure. Do we know if it's limited liability on personal?
It's limited liability.
I've done many of these in my time, although many years ago, so I think it's probably last time I did it was about £50, so it shows how long it is. However,
Oh, was less money?
I think rules probably stay the same. The danger is that we should think about is that he could quite simply go bust. And then therefore there's nothing kind of claim with him because he's no longer that business that was. That's always the danger. It depends on many things, of course, but we'll find those out because they're within his own remit. But I need to point that out.
I think we've got to try because it's
I agree.
parish council money, isn't it?
I agree. Absolutely.
Part of
It's,
three
yeah,
steps.
it's part of our responsibility.
And if you're getting nowhere with it this way, you've got to try the only other way around.
The other way is sort of obviously once we've made a decision one way or the other, if we decide to go for it, then you can just contact him and say, starting proceedings.
Yep.
That gives him another opportunity.
No, I mean, as I said, I'll present you with the forms. I won't be stamped.
Have we got any residents with broken noses or very, very large? Like about 18 stone. They work.
Yes. Have you used those in the past as well?
Then you're going to stop around that in the past. Yeah.
Let's not have this discussion.
No, I'm just.
Of course. Thank you for your humour. Right, so can I get a proposer for delegation of powers for small claims? Seconder?
Okay.
Is it, or should we have a vote, those four? Excellent. Good job. All right.
Chair, can I just say, when we were discussing the 8.1, it was to discuss whether or not we were having a new law, and we never got that.
Good point, good point. Yeah. I did make the assumption that it was the many lots that we were going to. But that was
You did decide.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, you decided to purchase a lot of £5.24p.
we voted and then paused while
Yeah,
we considered
paused.
whether or not to lock it.
It's a vote.
We had voted.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Jake. Okay. So, item 8.3. Again, to do with the bit of land at the end of Mere Lane, which has become troublesome in the last year. Not sure why. So. All the information back online, in case anyone's interested. Save on paper. But I mean, the issue that we're having is obviously there are people dumping in that piece of land, which we discussed at the last meeting. But also following on from that, I think that's been raised to council around. So there was a wooden bench which had been jet washed by a resident.
This is on the house.
Yeah, on the IROS. So I wasn't sure when council had made that decision to ask someone to jet wash, because jet washing wooden benches is.
He already did it at his own.
Okay, so it wasn't.
Just, I did put the form through for him to sign, because he's also bought the oil for it as well to refurbish it, apparently. But I don't know whether that ever found its way back to council. Signed, didn't think it did.
Right. Okay. So I think generally, I think we should have a policy of jet washing of wooden assets is not not allowable. So the second following off that is that the resident believes that a member of the council said that we would move the bench. So again, I wasn't sure when that was discussed in meeting.
No.
No, because there was
This is the owl bench.
No.
No.
No. Which brings me on to the next bit, which is a very good umbrella question. So the resident believes that it's used for smoking of Class C drugs, most evenings, and would like to have the bench moved away.
You can certainly smell Class C drugs on a fairly regular basis. I don't know if it's every evening.
Smell it down in the car park. 2 cars that park there on a fairly regular basis. Smell them sitting on the benches at the front there. It's not just there. It's wherever they feel they're going to sit. It's not that bench.
Somewhere also found when someone's stash was found on one of the litter picks a year or two.
Yeah, that was a couple of years ago.
There was a Tupperware box or something full of somebody's rolling equipment and bits and bobs.
Yeah,
I thought it was in that area.
That's how it works, Nick.
Well, with my medical knowledge, Chris, I've got
The bench is not looking at it. It's that people are going down there. I mean, it happens all around the lake. So where people decide they're going to sit and watch the sun go down there.
The issue for me with that bench is that where it sits at the moment, it's gently rotting away. Apparently, it's a type of wood. The previous, we had an owl there, I think.
Oh, no.
That just rotted.
Yeah.
Different wood, this one. However, it must be going the same way at some point.
It's 2018, so
It needs to. It needs. Does it not need taking to where there's some sort of air circulating?
Social rock, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not.
I think it's not being treated, isn't it, as well?
I think it's unfortunately it's just
normal process, isn't it?
yeah.
But before that bench was put there, they used to pick up one of the picnic benches
It is.
and take it there. So,
That's true.
so if you move it,
Still on
the picnic bench, it'll go and dump
That's
that.
true. I thought of
So-
that.
with damage to the picnic bench, then
Yeah.
moved on.
So sounds like you don't want to move the bench.
It'll probably drop to pieces.
So-
anyway.
I don't think it achieves what the resident wants, which is for there to not be a focus for people to sit there and smoke things.
Yeah.
Because they'll just move a bench and there'll still be a focus.
Yeah, I forgot that.
But-
That's true.
Surely if we explained that to him and said that, that's what would happen, and he has bought the oil and is prepared to do it, wouldn't we
I think that's a good idea.
let him do it?
If it wants to look after it, fine.
Yeah, I think that's a brilliant idea if he does,
Still,
just from our sort of maintenance group type of thing.
Okay.
So we
All right.
could reply back and say, yeah, if you want to go ahead with that, please do.
Okay. You can
We'll
do that.
find the form.
Yeah, find the form.
Yeah.
We can do that, and we can also remind them that any resident, because we are applying for a piece public space discussion, but any reports of vote taking
Should be
will
reported.
advance our argument with Cheshire East Council.
Yeah.
And then there was just one final thing on that end of Mere Lane. So there's a tree I noticed this weekend at the end of Buttercup, which has been topped, and it's
In topped again.
I'll give you the history.
No,
About years, the residents' orchards asked that the tree would be topped by about 3 meters, because it was blocking the sun from their garden at certain stages. I live pretty much next door to them, so I abstained on voting this, but I know that the vote was to not have the tree topped, because obviously it makes it doesn't do us any good, and also it makes it look very pleasant. Unfortunately, in between the 2 councils, the change over the councils, the tree was then chopped down by 3 meters. I don't know who that was. I just know that in between during the changeover, the opportunity was taken by someone to remove the top of the tree. Was it a week ago? I WhatsApped that someone had then cropped the tree back and quite substantially.
The same tree,
but not higher, but just around the edges, and within the bounds of reasonable, sort of a reasonable conversation. It's not terrible what's been done, and it actually has made it a bit neat. But the fact is, it's someone not asking permission of the council to deal with some of the council's the tree on council property, which is a very obvious tree. So that's the two stages that have taken place. Was it about a week and a half ago I mentioned it?
yes, I think it was.
Yeah, because it's only a recent cropping back. I don't know where the wood from that has gone, whether that is some of the wood that's been chucked over the fence. I think that's from what I can see.
It's certainly the first lot when it was first topped. That certainly went
that
on
went over, and I think the present lot has also gone over. So whoever's done this,
It's a fir tree.
yeah, there's a fir tree as well down there as well.
Somebody
So,
dumped all that there as well.
Well, it won't be someone who's just very far away.
yeah, so I can't say who it was that's done both of the actions. It could be two separate people. I honestly don't know, but that's the history of.
Okay.
So the tree should not have been topped because the council agreed that it wouldn't be. But obviously the trouble is it was in the changeover, so there wasn't really.
I mean, I've looked at the tree and it's quite well managed now, actually. You know, it's saving a bigger problem for us later down the line.
It hasn't been done too badly. That's what I mean. It has been taken back fairly sensibly. But the point is, it's the same with if someone goes down to IROS and decides that they're going to crop a tree back and make it look nice. It's not if it's on someone's land. If we went and did that to someone else's tree on their land, then they would kick up a fuss.
You also were responsible for the trees, and which is a tree survey. Most of us.
The tree is perfectly healthy.
It's the safety aspect as well, isn't it?
Okay, I just wanted to check it wasn't as part of the Buttercup Way clearance.
No, it wasn't.
It just makes it look now that the rest of those trees down Buttercup Way want something to do with them as well.
They do. Okay.
That's another topic.
That's awesome. So, well, maybe we can write the residents so whether they know who might have done it, seeing as right outside their house. I'm sure they must have been done in a short time. So we went, but asked people not to use power washing on our equipment or our assets. We won't move the bench. We'll explain why we're not moving the bench. We'll ask them to report criminal drug use to the police.
They've also mentioned, they've also asked, could we now clear the bits of dead tree that are on that area?
He did actually ask me when we were down there, and it's a job that is too big for just the few of us that were there.
Yeah. That was my next question is, I've got the tree report, and there's no dead trees marked on there. So
No. So I think they mean the waste from the
waste
previous
from the tree, yeah.
cutting back of trees. I think that's what they mean.
Someone has chopped down some trees and just dumped the waste over the fence. I will I'll sort the whole out in the fence. Very soon.
But that area, I took the guy round to show him all the areas of the tree. So that area was pointed out to him to inspect.
So just, I didn't see the bits of tree that I was looking for dead trees down the lane.
Right, if you go up to where the house is, and then where the lane comes down,
yeah,
to the right, there's the fence, and over there is dumped dead tree material.
Okay. Like logs. So
no, it's branches. It's a small sort of branch. There's major one about that big. I mean,
if it was logs, we could probably get some residents.
well, I was going to say, I suppose that one of the ways around is to see if someone's got something that can shred it into.
Right.
Well, can check it out. It's one that big.
That's too big.
Yeah, cool. And then just
Yeah,
the bits and go over into the.
Okay. So I'll be happy just to respond in that manner to.
Yeah, and I'll organise fixing the hole in the fence.
Okay. I have to say that fence was set out a hole in it for the entire time I've lived in the village. And every time it's fixed, someone.
Yeah, it's had an extra 2 bars taken out, so.
Okay. Okay.
Maybe I'll put some anti-burglar fence paint on it.
There are also further down the lane towards Jacob's Way, there are a couple of posts which are starting to lean. I don't know whether we need to consider whether that needs some more maintenance.
Needs a new fence.
But I think the fence is fine, I think. It may need a new post or it may need to be re-cemented, but again, happy to cement posts. Quite good. Okay, I'll sign the form then. Right, moving on, so we have got some things that we need to discuss. We're going to take some time later on. So 8.4 is a hedge policy. So Nick, I'll hand that one over to you.
Okay, so I've just been thinking for a while. We always get to the summer months and we get some lovely big hedges in the village, but unfortunately some of them stick out at least into the pavement, if not into the road. And it just occurs to me when we complain about people parking on the pavements, blocking them, one of the other things that blocks the pavements and makes people walk out into the road are overgrown hedges. I know that lots of people deliberately leave the hedges uncut through the bird nesting season, which is, there's some national advice around it, but for domestic hedges, it's not in any way the law. And the national advice does say that if an overgrown hedge is causing a potential danger, then it should be cut back, even if it's during the bird nesting season. Now, the slight issue is that this has nothing to do with Pickmere Parish Council. If it's sticking out into the highway, it's not our job to deal with highways. That's Cheshire East's. But I just wondered whether, rather than getting to the point where some people in the village are reporting other people in the village to Cheshire East, and then Cheshire East are going to have to take, contact them and spend money they haven't got on sorting it, and maybe won't spend that money on resources. I wondered whether actually just a nicely worded letter from the parish council to anyone who's got a big hedge saying, could you maybe just cut it back a bit harder this year, so that next year when it's got growth, it's not blocking the pavement or the highway.
I do know one or two other councils who actually do write to the residents in that vein and say, cut your hedges down.
I think I'd heard of that, which is why I sort of wondered. I suppose my slight concern is, do we really want to make ourselves unpopular with our own residents, going around telling them what they should do with their hedges?
I think, well, we've almost got a duty, haven't we, really? Because I do know of one or two hedges where if you're pulling out of for example, if you're pulling out of Crofters Close, there's a hedge there, you can't see the traffic. Right. The same as if you're pulling out of Merehaven Close, the hedge there at the guest house and Felicia now cut some of it back, but there's still a bit that, because they started to shape it like that. Well, if you're pulling out, it's a blind corner, and if someone just took themselves right in to come round, I've had 3 close shaves there.
The S-bend the same. That's cut back now. And perhaps up September 1st we'll get it again.
So I think we almost have a responsibility.
But one of the hedges on the other side has been cut back where the sheep are as well. That was cut back really. I think the thing is, you could actually make the point to people that if you're growing your hedge to make it more, to make it higher and more structurally sound, then cutting back is something you need to do, because if you allow it to grow, what happens is the growth works outwards and it starts to reduce on the inside. I mean, if you look at the farmers, they cut it back quite drastically, but it comes back thicker the next year and it maintains the integrity of the hedge. Whereas if you allow it to grow out, it sort of thins it out. And if you look at hedges that have been allowed to grow for years and years, they're now just a series of trees dotted along, not acting as hedges. So there is a good reason for maintaining them in that way as well.
But as someone with a what appears to be a troublesome
A
hedge.
reportable hedge.
A reportable hedge, allegedly. I mean, the thing that I struggle with in Pickmere is that our residents believe that we have powers that we don't have. And now we're taking on another power we don't have. So who decides whose hedge is troublesome? Who's going to sign the letter? Who's going to say? I mean, I have to say, some of the posts on the Cheshire East Fix My Street are just bullying of one resident against another resident.
So there's an element of that, yes.
So why would we, if somebody came round to my house and said, Ewan, I think your hedge is a bit dangerous and I can't see, then I'm more likely to respond to that than someone sending me a letter who has no power. After Cheshire East want me to do it, I'll probably have to. But hedge cutting is very difficult. So in order to take it back, you basically have to scalp it. Now farmers don't care about scalping because they don't have to live with it. They're machines. But you have to leave the top and the other side. And it is really difficult to do. I mean, I have to say, for 3 years, we've tried really hard to get people in to do it. And every year it's been a failure, and every year it goes further out. I think we have actually found someone who knows what they're doing. But my personal opinion is we shouldn't be going around trying to enforce powers that we haven't got. And I don't understand who's going to decide whose hedge is the troublesome hedge and whose isn't.
It's not us exerting our power, is it? Surely it's an advisory.
I don't think that's how it was received.
Would it be, rather than sending a letter out, there's two ways we can do this. First of all, we have social media, which we could use, and secondly, we have the Pickmere press. So we come out with just a statement that can go into the Pickmere press, a statement that can go into the social media site saying, this is the time of year where you should be considering taking your hedge back. Please remember that if your hedge is close to a road or a pavement, then you are legally required to actually ensure that that pavement is usable by pedestrians. That people can, that sort of statement, and that way, what we're saying is, well, we can't enforce it, which we can't, but we are advising that this is what's required of people who own hedges in places where they do need taking back. And that way, it's kind of a gentle reminder from the parish council that's aware of several issues that have come up. But obviously, we can't enforce it.
I don't think it should go. I don't believe it should go to every resident. Makes it a bit oppressive. But I don't see why we can't advise via the website and in notice boards.
Well, it's something I have done before with PRA.
I think in Pickmere Press, I mean, if it goes to everybody, what you're saying is this is what the advice is, and we're not identifying individuals that way. We're just saying to everybody in Pickmere, this is what it.
If people in the public want to have a conversation, could you please go outside?
So I think putting it on the social sites, we've got a couple of those that might be useful. And I think putting it into Pickmere Press, it just gets to everybody in the village that way. And we make it just an advisory note, and that way it's not telling people what they do. We're not enforcing anything. We're not being draconian. We're just saying this is the situation. This is what you, as a hedge owner, if you want, are required to do by Cheshire East highways, and I think that's a nice, gentle way of doing it.
Maybe just say that residents have contacted us, because as a council we can't do anything about it, but we would like to pass on what residents are saying.
That's a good way of starting.
I think so.
I think that's fine. But I think, but as with other things,
Because they do.
the response to residents should be, we have no plans to enforce
That's what I'm saying.
It has
We say that, but obviously people still come towards over hedges that they're not sure about. So I think it's if we do say that we can't do anything about it, but we'd like to pass on that we need.
And to be fair, we do.
Yeah.
So just, I mean, take what's in the letter, but I mean, if you could just sort of rehash that and then send it out, and then, I mean, it's something we could agree via email, and then relevant people
Yes,
put it out
because
there, and then
the next Pickmere press closes on, I think it's the 23rd of September.
Yeah. But you have to do that.
Yeah, I can what with another draft that you've done.
Just the statement, and then we can put it onto the sites and
Yeah.
send it off to Pickmere Press if everybody's happy with it.
Okay, that sounds good. Great. I do want to say my head back. Before I saw the letter,
Could go back further, don't you?
Yeah.
I'll come round and have a look at it.
Well, that way we're sort of hedging our bets, aren't we?
Oh.
Someone have to know, but come on.
Okay.
Someone have to.
Moving on.
Is that proposal?
So,
It's just,
Okay.
we don't need to vote on that, and do
I don't think so. because
No.
Anyone really wants
I've
to.
written down agreed
it.
Um,
you?
So,
about 10 minutes ago.
okay, so item 8.5 is down as asset management log. That's what I got from Julian. Alison did send round a
Yes.
updated report.
Yes, just a little update that really it wasn't actually, my request on the agenda wasn't actually for the log to be reinstated. It was for the asset maintenance working group. Because as you were just saying, there's posts that need work, and we scrapped it originally because it was community and assets, wasn't it? But there's been one or two jobs that have been noticed coming round that we kept pointing out and mentioning things. And I just felt that with the losing that group and not getting together and not keeping up with the maintenance log, we are losing one or two things that are likely to slip through. I mean, for example, if I was to say to you now, where's the fire alarm in this hall, in this particular room? The actual smoke detector, sorry.
Oh.
There isn't one because it's taken down. And when are the fire extinguishers due for their service? It was these that were the sorts of things that I'd started doing on the asset maintenance log, if you remember.
Yeah.
And we've never reviewed it because the group was disbanded, but they kept coming forward because they were there with the items when the maintenance was due. And I would just like to maybe propose that at least 2 or 3 members form a maintenance group so that these things can get done. Steve had mentioned about the urinals. That's another thing that was on the log. That needed attention, along with the water heater in the disabled loo in the pavilion. That there's lots of these little things that are not getting done, they're getting lost.
So I was, when we started, a great believer in the idea of having different groups looking at different things. I've got to be honest, I don't think it worked. I think we have groups that, they don't read, they don't produce minutes. I think the council our size being this size, I don't think we need another group. But what I do think we need is people who are responsible for the log. And then we can just bring that to council and go, these are the things that are.
Well, I did start doing that. I did forward it to everybody, didn't I, before meetings?
So I think the log's a great idea, and I hadn't realised until it wasn't going forward. I don't believe we need another group to take up people's time. We can just.
But then, as long as we can then review the log as well.
Well, I'm happy to have a standing item where you come along with your log and say to council, these are the things that are coming up in the next month, or the next 2 months, or the next 3 months. I mean,
because I thought that was an essential aid as well to help Clerk coming in, because that's why we did it originally, Peter and I, with when Amanda was coming in.
No, I mean, I have to say I thought the log was a brilliant idea, because I'm sad that it didn't continue. But I do think it was linked to the group. I don't think it should be linked to a group.
Okay, we'll continue it then.
I suppose I don't see. I think the log's great. I don't see what the group adds.
Yeah.
Particularly if you're willing to carry on doing the log. You get the log together, which you had mostly done, fully done. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah. We did have one meeting and three of us there, and we went through and highlighted what was perhaps the most urgent that we should bring to council. But certainly then, if we all as a council review the log, and then we can decide in a council meeting, you know, well, this is coming up, this is pretty urgent.
Yeah.
And if anybody then has anything like you just said about the posts.
I don't think we necessarily need a minuted group. We just need a group of people who maintain the log. So it's sort of not, it's not a group where we're making decisions or anything, but it's just a group of people who are consistently keeping the log up to date. And it's not the type of group where we have to have an agenda and we sit down and send back minutes. It's just a group of councillors who meet every now and then just to maintain the log and make sure that anything is up to date that can then be reported back to the council for decisions to be made.
I think all you need is the custodian log.
Okay.
And then, you know, if people become aware of things, or we can let the residents know if there's an issue, send it to the custodian of the log, and then we can discuss it in meeting.
Well, you'd send it to the clerk, who would pass it on, presumably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe the clerk would maintain it as well.
Obviously, it doesn't, and I don't think it needs to go that doesn't need to go through the clerk. It just goes to the custodian who then reports back with a full set of needs, because otherwise you're going to get little things going to the clerk who doesn't.
Yeah.
So if it goes to a custodian, then that person can report back and say, right, we've got 12 things. You know, we need new light bulb, we need this, because
those are all the sorts of things.
yeah, that way it sort of takes an email stream away from the clerk.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
That just, yeah, to reduce the workload on. No.
that might be appreciated. So are you happy to be the keeper of the? I'll see if I can set
Still
up
got
a
it.
SharePoint. Next, then we might be able to give access to other people that might want to enter things.
I have to say that it's the best title I've ever heard post holder of a parish council, the custodian of the law. Love it. I think they should have more.
All right. So
Bringing the log.
okay, next item, 8.6 Clover Drive playground. Peter is our Clover Drive playground expert.
Yeah, right. Yes, we've had the new springers fitted, as you said, but prior to that, we'd had the annual playground inspection. So the new springers have been fitted, the new cradle swings have been fitted as well. And when I went to it was like a mini training thing from the play inspection company. They said that one of the things you should do if you have new equipment installed, it should be inspected to make sure it's been installed correctly. Now this, it's an industry best practice. It's not a statutory or mandatory thing. But when I rang the play inspection company, they did say that you may need to speak to your insurance company. They may not be happy that should something happen in the next 10 months before the next annual inspection, you know, you might fall foul of the insurance terms that there may be. So, and they did say that if the equipment is being used, it's not a need to do it super quick, but it needs to be done fairly soon to make sure that it's been installed correctly and safely. I mean, it's up to us entirely as to whether I couldn't say that we take the risk, because it's insurance, isn't it? Now, would the insurance company want to take the risk? So it's
I'm not sure I care about that so much as the small children who are on it. Really.
Well, exactly, yeah. I mean, I do a weekly check to make sure, you know, if I was letting children loose on it, do I think it's safe from like an engineering point of view?
Have you tried that? Have you tried that? Sorry.
They're big for actually. Look at that point.
I did see him on them.
Never gone to swing, but not. But yeah, it's just to make sure everything's safe in doing the weekly checks. So it's up to us to decide, yay or nay, whether we go ahead with the,
Motion.
I know when they were sending a quote to the clerk.
They did,
Which-
I did send it to you.
Yes, and I think is it £250?
Yeah.
But when I actually rang them and they said that if we were waiting to have it inspected before we put them into use, then it would have been around the 350 mark. So, but because they're in use, I mean, they can fit it in, perhaps when they're doing something nearby.
I see.
So,
Um,
so there's that, and then the other problem we have as well is the signage. It's not up to date signage because it says Pickmere Parish Council own the equipment, and this is how you contact them. There's a phone number and the clerk's email address, which are both wrong.
Huh?
And the posts are rotted away, and the back into the, well, it's a metal plate, and the back into it's all rotted away as well, so something needs to do with that. So the next thing it'll be on the floor. And I don't really want to have the sign damaged if it ends up on the floor.
So do you think we can get the sign updated rather than fully replaced with just the new?
Oh, I would think so, yeah, yeah.
It's going to need a new frame.
Yeah.
So new wooden, you know,
Back into it and some
and posts, yeah.
Yeah. So that one's doing it. But then everything else seems to be okay there, but we were in the process of also looking at the multi-play. Because I did send the man pictures of it all, and she was going to get a quotation for replacement of it all.
yeah, so let's check on the process, but where we got to, we have a set of different items that we can replace it with.
Yeah.
Some are cheaper than others.
So that's not going to happen soon.
No.
Okay. So
But we
rather than just getting this inspection done now and then doing something in a month's time and then having to have that inspected as well.
But there are other things that would go in before that. So there's the PD board, I don't remember what they're called. Sensory boards. They're probably imminent.
So we've got a few things really that could be imminent, so there's no point really in doing this inspection now if there's going to be others.
I mean, I think it's a good idea to contact the insurance company.
Yeah.
And get their opinion on it. At least inform them that we've got these new things put in, see what their response is. I mean, we did use a qualified vendor who is approved by, amongst others, Manchester and Cheshire East. So we have to assume they did it through it. If we thought there was something wrong with it, then I'd be going, right, let's get the thing done.
Well, we have run them today and spoken to the managing director there. He said he's going to send us a certificate of compliance with EN 1176. He's going to send that to the clerk. That's if we haven't already received it. I don't know.
I wouldn't know.
Well, I've never seen anything to say that they.
No, but if he's going to certify it to we don't need an inspection. And his insurance is then
That's
allowed.
depending on the insurance company, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, we have to ask them. Yeah, but if we say we've got a certificate to the European norm, then I think that's fine, unless we think there's something wrong with it. And they'd like to say, it's paid £250. And then we just need to get a cost for the board. Yeah, so I guess we can contact the guy who's going to send the certificate. I did meet him, he's quite competent. But he did the benches as well.
Oh, really? Right.
Yeah, so he did a good job on those. So he did mention that.
The person who put the new springers in did the benches.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, they did a great job with the benches.
And the tables, yeah. Benches, tables.
But I think when he came around to the site, he did say he would just reconcrete the post of the sign. But then we didn't know that there was.
Yeah, it was just the address and email address and phone.
And the other bizarre thing is when I was coming back from Fun Day, the walk past the play park, there was a dog in there. And someone had stuck a sign over our sign, covering up the no dog sign. She'd actually say no dogs. We said no pets, but you didn't see it. So
I wasn't sure because Jane had asked a few weeks ago about the budget, the signage. That's why I said to you, I wasn't sure whether we'd done it or Cheshire East had come and stuck signs up. So
The Cheshire East.
that asked you as to whether they put a sign on it. So obviously not. But so in the last couple of weeks, those signs have appeared.
Yeah, but it's been relocated now. No dog signs back.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to wait for the certificate, check with the insurance company, and get a price for the update of the board.
All right.
We're happy. Nobody want to vote?
Who's going to do that?
That'll be done by the clerk.
Okay.
Okay, 8.7. That's it. Round the report on get charging again. So I think so all the discussions that we've had with different people, different agencies over the last 6 months or so, we keep coming back to the same issue: is who is going to enforce, particularly the public space protection order, because there's no point in having one if no one enforces it. My thought on that is either employ our own or use the Cheshire Rangers, if we can rent from Cheshire East. But in order to do that, we need money. And I think it's unreasonable to the residents to up their precept fund a ranger for little benefit to themselves, because they're stopping people from doing the things that residents don't do. So I know Chris looked at this before. We got to a bit of an impasse around the yellow lines, but I am confident-ish, not 100%, that we will get Cheshire East getting the lines before the end of this financial year. So I think we should reopen negotiations and also look at maybe, I think the original idea was to squeeze some more places in. That's sort of making money from it. We might want to go back and look at that.
What about this idea that Cheshire East may be creating parking areas and charging for them?
They wouldn't be. I don't think they would be charging for them. I think
I've not heard them talk about charging for them.
what they would do is probably put a restriction on time. So they would say you can use
I've never
it.
read it now. There was something I've read that they were going to do parking areas with meters.
No, don't need to.
Or not meters as such, but a sign saying you need to ring.
Originally they
Ring this and
yes, creating areas.
yeah, but so you would actually pay for parking on street parking.
Yeah, no, but that certainly isn't the discussion we've had recently. I think what they had planned to do was to have parking bays and have a limit on time. And so their enforcement agents would, if it's 2 hours, you're there for longer than 2 hours,
yeah,
but they could charge you. So, and again, we did discuss revenue sharing over that. So when the new rules come into place, if they make a lot of money from it, they are open to sharing some of that money with the council. I think having our own revenue stream is probably a more useful way of getting what we need. So having people that can go and say, put that barbecue out, not part of there. That could be done for you. So we were asking for a final decision just to reopen the forecast process and discuss with companies and see what revenue we could get, whether we could afford a ranger.
Yeah, so my my thoughts long term, hopefully not too long term. What, once we have some control from Cheshire East over parking in the village elsewhere, I would like to see us charging for the parking at the lake. I also had the thought that one of the antisocial behaviours that we get at the lake that is complained about by residents, or particularly the local residents a lot, is the very early and the very late at night use, and particularly by swimmers and paddleboarders. One thought I had, if we are going to be charging for parking and therefore having fines issued for people who don't pay or overstay their ticket,
is whether we have enforceable time restraints on when people are allowed to park there, which has been, signs have gone up in the past, and the current signs say no overnight parking, but people do that. But if we're going to have a system whereby we can then send in photos or whatever the system is to a central company who's going to do fines, whether we have a rather large fine for people who park before, say, 8 in the morning or say after 8 at night, you know, whether that's £100, £200, to try and discourage.
These companies can't actually fine anybody. It's private land. All they send is an invoice.
Well, yes, okay, but so
It's not a fine.
no, not a fine, okay, but I'm sure everyone's parked in a private car park and potentially had the lesson.
It is a fine,
Yeah.
but it's not a fine.
A charge.
A charge. It's parking charge, no, it's this.
But that's, you know, but if you have a sign up saying if you park here before 8 in the morning, we will charge you £200. How many times are people going to flout that?
In Pickmere. Very often.
Well, that's right. We'll have
last-
£200 off of each time, thanks very
The
much.
last time we
But
did
no, I
that,
have to-
instead of put the signposts up and people took them down, and on top of that, the rule was you took the photograph of the car, you had to have some evidence of dating on it as well, when you took the photograph, and time. So you're evidencing when the actual parking took place.
But your iPhone calls that.
It can do, yeah.
It does.
I think we sent in
Yeah.
several and it was never followed up by the company. It was just
So we,
on the iPhone using that and
yeah,
using a camera with the date on it and everything.
But again, potentially, whoever's going out to do this stands a chance of being abused again.
Absolutely.
Don't they?
there is that. There is that.
Or you're putting yourself in danger potentially.
That's why I think we need to look at getting a ranger. Getting somebody who's professionally trained and has all the body protection equipment. But we have to pay,
Yeah, how much is it?
well, a lot more than our precept, which is why we need to have a revenue stream which is in our precept.
A big part of the parking. So use the revenue stream.
Well, there are two things. There's revenue stream from parking and then there's revenue stream from fine. So an example would be that the Runcorn Bridge makes, whichever shelter it is, over 5 million profit a year, not from the charges from going across, but from the people that don't pay.
That's slightly more than 8 places.
Well, we'll have more than they can.
16 is it max?
Yeah, well, bridge over the lake, that's a good idea.
How much did this bridge cost? But they have to make that sort of money to pay for it.
They probably don't think that. Anyway, the point is we don't just have a discussion about people's opinions of what they think of we can get the revenue stream. This item is about let's talk to people, let's see what money we can raise, and then look at it.
Well, I think if we're hoping lines are going to be in this financial year, so we're hoping that by April we will have yellow lines in the village. Then, if we're considering that beyond that point we may be thinking about charging at the lake, we need to start looking at it now, don't we, or soon?
Yeah.
Otherwise we get to the end and
Before
start
next
looking at
spring.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm happy with the idea that we start looking into it.
So the proposal is that we look into it, we all do negotiations, do some cost models, and come back to council with some hard and facts rather than rely on what may or may not be true. Proposer?
I'm proposing it.
Seconder? Do we have a vote? Anyone against?
I'm staying, so I'm not sure whether parking is,
Oh, I'd for it.
I'm not sure whether parking is.
No,
Fine's the right thing.
All right, so then we should go ahead and look at parking.
Well, have a vote that we look at it, yeah.
I vote that we look at it.
Look at it, yeah.
Yeah,
That's all we're asking.
I'll go up and look at it, but
I just want to have information data and the minutes in full. Okay. Moving on, thank you very much. So the next one, yeah, we've had a request from Mental Health Swim to run events at the IROS. So basically, small people on a Saturday going down one of their mental health
You
programs.
say small people.
Small groups of people.
You said small people.
Small group challenge people. So I think
they've said 6 maximum, haven't they, including the host. Yeah.
So I think what's good is that they have gone through the process of the correct process of contacting the council.
But they've also put the resident address down on their
Yeah, that
thing, so there's like a number 1 Jacob Way to number 7 Jacob Way now, which actually is, no, but I already know that those people in those houses are now taking out legal action against them for using their addresses, which they should, as far as I'm concerned. It's absolutely disgraceful.
I mean, there's several issues here. I think first off, that it sounds all very nice, and mental health, great, all of that. But I think we do have to think about the fact that, first of all, they have fraudulently used 2 addresses now. I didn't know they'd used 7, which means they've already, fraudulently using someone else's address is just completely wrong. I think if you start from that premise, then I fundamentally think that they don't deserve this. The group, is it insured for such events?
No.
Have they got lifeguards? Have they got?
You didn't discuss any further than that.
Yeah.
They don't have insurance to move on.
Sorry.
Can we just deal with the facts though? They have supplied insurance.
Right, they have got insurance. The council has said no to organised groups using it. If they are going to use it, it's an extra influx of people. When we're asking we're asking the authorities to help reduce the influx of people. If we say yes to one group, then when the next little group comes along and says, well, we'd like to paddleboard for mental health, we'd like to, there's,
What's on flood?
I think it's all well and good that they're swimming to mental health, but I think that if they're going to do it, they need to do it
So they can do it somewhere else.
above board, and then there are other places for them to do it.
Well, we've got all the signage there.
And it does say no
No
swimming.
swimming through this line, so
The national organisation across all the country, but it's not a charity. Which makes a difference to me.
well, it makes a big difference that the parish council do not allow swimming from this line.
But interestingly, I believe they have actually had a swim at Pickmere sometime already, so they have just done it without
I
asking.
think that was the one that they actually ended up putting off. I think that they were going to do it and then they didn't, but they did have one earlier on.
I think they did have one in June, I feel. It was in June.
They're saying they didn't.
Could I just ask to understand, when we're saying that they had used someone's address, was this just trying to give people directions for a sat nav where to come? But they weren't making a representation that they lived at that house. They were just saying, if you do, well, no, this one, I'm not sure. I haven't seen
I
it.
thought they were making a representation saying that they came from Jacob's Way.
They did.
Yeah, I thought that was what it was.
Right. I mean, so if they're using it in an address, I mean, they'd be better using 3 words if they're wanting to direct people somewhere. But I can understand them trying to use a postcode or an address to direct people, this is where the swim's taking place. That to me is...
Well, you don't need a number for a postcode.
No, I agree. I'm not saying they should have done that, but I'm saying that's an understandable mistake that someone could make. But if they have on some form somewhere suggested that they live there, that's a totally different answer to my mind. But actually my thoughts, although this is, it sounds like what they're trying to do is a wonderful thing, and I'm sure that people doing open water swimming or paddling, as they call it, is a great. It's great for their mental health. I think so. I think there is a very long-standing, Pickmere Parish Council policy that we do not allow people to swim off our land, and I think
loads of places you can swim around it.
I think it would be a very dangerous situation for us to change that precedent
Yeah.
without a very clear plan that we are now going to allow people to do that. Because if we're ever in a situation where we need to take legal enforcement against one, if we've allowed one group to do it, that might totally blow our case out of the water.
The other thing is, I feel if we turn around and say, yes, you may, then I think we then have to start thinking about, if we are permitting people to swim off our land, then we are actually responsible for them. So we need to provide life facilities, we need lifebelts, lifeguards, we need insurance, because essentially if we're saying, yes, you can, we're giving permission to go off our land, and everything, whilst it is a great cause, I'm afraid
We're not geared to be able to handle it.
No, I mean that you mentioned the life belts. Personally, I feel there should be life belts at the lake because a small child might fall in, get into difficulty, and but people can fall into the body of water when they're not swimming.
But once you put something there like that, you're then advocating the fact that you can swim in here.
No, I don't think you are. If you're the owner of the Manchester Ship Canal and you have life belts down the ship canal, you're not saying everyone go and swim in the ship canal. You're saying if someone falls into the ship canal, the punishment for going into the water is not death. You know, we put a sign up saying you can't swim, you've swum. I'm sorry, but you're dead. I think our
ship canal would be a slow down.
But I think we have had people. We don't agree with people going in the water off the council land, but I don't think that means that people should.
My feelings on it are Pigeon Gate went wrong, so this will go wrong. So let's say no to it. That's my personal.
Right. So, but the only other add to that, and the reason that I would probably not want to see it, is the only water sport allowed on our lake is motorboating.
Yeah.
And I can't see how, whatever the other items are, how Parish Council could say to a group, yes, you can go swimming in our lake, when we know obviously they're in danger of being run over by just.
And we have limitations on launching and landing boats and IROS and life, so it's only the ones private land.
Well, we need to take that in another meeting, but I don't believe you're correct. Okay.
I believe I am.
So, and the other thing I'd add to that is the majority of people who die in inland waterways had no intention of being in that water when they entered. So I appreciate it's for another event. There's a fantastic piece from the Cheshire Fire and Rescue Service that explains all this, and it's why they have an interest in Pickmere. Okay, so. Well, normally it'd be someone that's gone in after a child, after a dog, fully clothed. Some people who can swim go and try and rescue people in waterways. But if you do find yourself in the water, float. There you go. All right. So we will respond in the negative. Thank them very much for being polite enough to answer, but we will unfortunately condone possibly official use of the lake. Okay. Interesting. Well, do we have to vote? Is anyone against writing that policy? Policy, sir. Excellent. Okay, so just wanted to confirm that the next meeting will happen on the 3rd of October, 2024, at 7:45.
Yeah.
Everyone happy? 3rd of October. Yeah.
Do we have a location for it?
Well, I was actually very much would be the village hall.
All right. Okay.
But I look forward to the minutes to find out.
Just where are you?
Okay. Which brings us on to 10 to consider a resolution to exclude press, public, and other public bodies. Thank you very much. Nice to see our residents. Thank you very much.
See you girls.